What's up guys, you're watching Jay's 2 Cents, and you've been asking me all year long to do a new how to completely water cool a computer guide. This is going to be a complete tutorial on everything you need to know to water cool your computer, and we're going to do it together. So let's get started. Introducing the SoCal Tech Fair taking place May 3rd and 4th. This is something I've been wanting to do for many years, and we're finally doing it. So we've teamed up with iBuyPower and Height to create a community event where we're gonna have live music, we're gonna have tech panels, we're gonna have tech game shows up on stage. Other content creators are gonna be joining me. We're gonna have a tech swap meet too, where we'll be selling our lightly used parts that would definitely serve other people better than they're serving us sitting on our shelves. So we're trying to give you some good deals. We got food, we got games, we got activities, we've got a lot of sponsors and brands that are involved. We even have some racing simulators set up where you can win prizes and stuff. So for full ticket and event information, check the link in the description below, and we hope to see you there. I think the most shocking thing shouldn't be the fact that that system is still together and still using the original coolant, which is the whole point of today's video, that we are going to be draining it and looking at the blocks and seeing how well 12 years has been to this system. But what's more shocking is how brown my hair was back then. You see what y'all fuckers have done to me? So this is that build. This is actually my brother-in-law's build.
Wait, all the brown in your hair went to the discoloration of the case on the front.
This is what happens when you put a plastic tower near a window. It's the sun does things to it.
Crazy.
No, this is not Nick's build. Nick had a Switch 810 case as well, which was my old Switch 810 case, and built him a computer in it years and years ago, and that has, you know, if you guys go on like the GIF keyboard and you put up Jay's 2 Cents, and you can actually find me going to the trash can and throwing a case away, that's this case, but it was Nick's case. Anyway, this system is still exactly as built then. It even has a DVD drive.
Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, Blu-ray. Blu-ray is a DVD though.
No. Well, I mean, technically, yes, it's a digital video disc.
You want to see something really gross? Yeah.
Dude, it looks like one of those, like, you know the control panels at Chernobyl?
So to be fair, this system has like lived in a room that was kind of like a converted outdoor sunroom into a livable space, but it doesn't have the best insulation and stuff, and so just dust and dirt and all that gets in there, and believe it or not, this is after he's already sort of blown it out. But he asked me, he said, hey, you know, we don't use this tower anymore. It worked the last time we took it apart. I have no interest in booting this up today. I think it has a password on it, plus I don't know what information he has on here, so I ain't about to look into this. But I will tell you, they don't build the cases like they used to. They certainly build them better. I'll put the screws back in so you can see it's not just because I unscrewed this that it's wobbling around. You can fit so many GPUs in this bad boy.
The screws didn't change anything.
It got worse. listen how long it goes. Look at the top. Anyway, this is a Switch 810. It was a neat function back then. Like the idea was you could go for like airflow, silence, or hot. It's kind of the only way you could really consider it. Dude, check it out. It's got the NBE loops on top. These were like some of the most baller water cooling fans back then because of the static pressure that they had.
I don't think those bearings survived the years.
They are very... I did a full guide on how to do a water cooling loop in a system, and that's what this build was right here. And so we are gonna tear it down today, and we're gonna see how well time has treated this system. Whoa. Got something, my hands are turning black the more I touch it. All right, just have to be careful not to touch the black rubberized parts because it starts to break down and get all tacky and gross. In fact, Phil just spent half the day yesterday sanding his FPV drone controller because that rubberized stuff breaks down over time and gets all tacky. That's what's kind of happening here. It's just funny to go back more than a decade and see how far things have changed when it comes to water cooling loops. For instance, they didn't make pump res combos like they do today. So I just took a standard like alpha-cooled D5 pump, used a male-male fitting, and then put a reservoir on top of it to create my own like pump res combo. So it's nice to see that things have improved. I actually did put myself, unplug that cable. I actually did make a drain for myself. It's that guy right there. Unfortunately, ball valves didn't exist back then, so as soon as I cracked that, actually no. I'm smarter than the average bear. I guess I didn't realize that because I also put on the top, I touched it again. You can see there's like a fill riser right there so that I could actually fill it from the top of the loop. And I remember now, if I turn this on its side, that is now the highest point in the loop. So I can crack that now, put a tube on there,
Then tilt it.
and then tilt it into our drain. The sacrifice has been made.
Already?
I don't know. I'm bleeding suddenly.
Cut yourself.
I'm already bleeding. I didn't, what did I touch? I'm like legit. Oh, that's a hell of a scratch. It's like all the way down. Give me a minute while I go get a hepatitis shot.
Okay, we're back from the hospital. We got him updated on tetanus and hepatitis and...
When we get to the inside of the blocks, it's gonna be gross. Phil, I want you to get a shot of the inside of the clear one right here if you can. It's bad. Like it is completely, the reason why it's all green like that is that it usually means galvanic corrosion. It's rare that I get to build something like this and then see how time has treated it. You know what I mean? So what I need to do now is I need to drain this loop, attach my tube to it, drain it over there, get the GPUs out. I'm curious what the inside of the rads are gonna look like too. This is a full copper loop with the exception of the plating that exists on the nickel block. So not to be confused with nickel back. The nickel blocks are copper, it's just they have nickel plating on them. But the fittings are brass, again with a nickel plating. Now you can get an idea that there's obviously been some corrosion taking place in the loop just because of the way the pushdown tube looks in the reservoir. You see how it's like collected a lot of it, like that bluish kind of a tinge. The other thing too is because this is using soft tubing, which actually is very soft still. I was wondering if maybe it was leaching plasticizer for sure. That's what a lot of this is. But it made me wonder if they were gonna get brittle or hard. They're still very soft and pliable. Like it doesn't feel like they're ready to crack or anything like that. But it's really gonna be interesting to see what's happened here with the different, like the blocks and stuff. I'm wondering what the inside of these tubes is gonna look like. All right, let's get it over there. Let's drain it and try not to cut myself again along the way. I feel like I didn't give myself enough credit back then for thinking about these things. Like, hey, if I put an extension on that, it puts it at the highest point of the loop, and when you tilt it, then you can just take this and be like, right? And then as soon as I open this top one here, because at the top of the loop, we should get a rush of coolant.
Yep. It's going. Nice. That's actually surprisingly clear. See, even the top one where coolant doesn't touch it much, look at all that corrosion in there. It's like rough even. But ironically, nothing in the reservoir came out. But what could go wrong? Whoa, the coat. Ah! I called it!
But it's pushing the coolant out. It also sprayed our jackets, but that's fine.
It's like you're slowly giving the tube a bonus.
One thing I want to point out too is I did make him well aware that I will not be putting this back together. The drives, he'll take the drives and have access to those obviously. This system is fully retired, doesn't use it anymore, but a couple of honorable mentions. An 80 plus platinum Rosewell 1000 watt power supply. I remember I just grabbed it off the shelf when I built it for him, and thinking back now, 12 years ago, how ahead of its time a 80 plus platinum was. Now yes, Rosewell is the in-house brand for Newegg, and it didn't have a whole lot of like following behind it, and people didn't really expect it to be a good brand, but you know what? It ran all this time. So we were kind of reminiscing about the system. I can't remember. So it is an AMD FX system. It's a Crosshair 5 formula. I was telling Phil some of the nuances of this. And look, for those running big SLI, a Molex supplemental power right above the GPU on the top side right there. See? But anyway, I know it's an FX processor, probably an 8150 or an 8350, something like that. But I was also saying that one of the nuances of this board, and I found this out the hard way, and I'll tell you the way I fixed it, because I knew I was building this system. On my system, which this was identical to, I basically made a carbon copy of mine for my brother-in-law because he liked it. And if you flash the BIOS with an active overclock, it borks the BIOS. Like Asus did not have it programmed to say, hey, revert to factory settings, or even prompt you. It just starts to write the EEPROM and then shuts off, and then power button does nothing. Just completely bricks the EEPROM. Now what's interesting about this board is the EEPROM just looks like a regular chip that can socket into something, like literally looks like the old school microchips, right? You could take a second board, pop the chip out, pop the chip in, start the BIOS update process, and before you confirm and say yes, you can literally pop it out, put the bad one back in, say yes, and it will write it. That's how I fixed it. So I fixed mine with his board. Okay, I feel pretty confident. Okay, maybe my watch doesn't. I was pushing the emergency button. Oh. I feel confident that it's not gonna piss water everywhere. Oh, there's even corrosion on the fitting. Oh, the inside of the tubes is teal. Jeez, and look at that. No, this will be an interesting test. We're gonna learn something today because we have two different materials. We have raw copper and nickel plating. So I'm not even gonna take the nickel one, I'm not gonna even open that yet. I'll see if it'll come clean, like if we can even clean that out. It looks like shit. It literally looks like a sewer. But I'm curious now, did the raw copper do that? Or did that just react to the nickel plating? Yeah, so as you can see, like inside of this tube is like all the gunk, and any of the shit that comes off the block is just gonna get stuck anywhere there's enough friction for it to get, and then obviously where it gets stuck is more is gonna stick to it because the friction increases. So that's why it's all like it's almost like cholesterol. Okay, it's important to note, it'll be hard to see down in here. Maybe Phil can get a close up. All of the nickel is gone. It is completely like brass/copper color inside. Not looking too good. So you see how this one's darker than that one? So one was clearly getting like more impact than the other, because right, this was in a parallel or in a series loop, so it was gonna hit one fitting and then bounce into the other side, so it would have more impact on that fitting, which could potentially cause more of that abrasiveness, I guess. Oh! I was not expecting that.
What color is it supposed to be? Black?
No, it was bare copper.
Oh, so all of that transferred from the...
From this. It had to have come from this. Dude, I was not expecting that. Now, the interesting thing is, if you look at the size of the fins, like they're so big.
I know, yeah.
Like nothing got stuck in there because they're so big.
Those aren't micro fins, those are macro fins, dude.
Yeah, they're huge. Like nothing wrong with that. Dude, it's like it was breaking down the plastic. I'll be interested to see what this CPU block looks like, because it's the same thing. It's bare copper. So when I take that CPU block off, I don't think there's any getting that clean. Look at that. I can't even really scratch it off very well. Now I need everyone to, in the comments at this point, just be like, thanks, Frank, my brother-in-law, because this was his idea. He was like, hey, do you remember that system you built, the water-cooled one where you did the channel? He was actually the cameraman for the video, by the way. He was like, remember how we did that, how to build a water cooling loop? I'm like, oh yeah, with the Switch 810, like years and years ago? He's like, yeah, that's still together and running. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I never even changed the fluid. I just topped it off. Now, a lot of this might have been preventable by changing the fluid, to be honest, because as the fluid picks up those ions and such, it's going to become more conductive and corrosive with the metals and stuff that it's touching. So doing full flushes kind of starts that coolant health back at square one. So a lot of this could have probably been prevented, but he said at the time that they stopped using this PC, which wasn't all that long ago, maybe within a year or two, they sort of stopped. Now, that also means the coolant was just sitting there touching all these metals and not cycling, which is just the same as if it was moving or not. So whether or not it was on and heat cycling for those years or not, it was still having a chemical reaction of just touching the metals. But he said, yeah, it's still together, and all he ever did was top off the coolant because it would evaporate some no matter what over time. Like it can go through the soft tubing. So I was just shocked that, I can't wait to see what the inside of the pump looks like. Yep, these rads are junk. Like I almost feel like just cutting the end cap off at this point to show.
Just to see.
Oh, actually, no, not that bad. So you can see just how big and thick the rows are for the rad. It looks like I'm looking inside an automotive radiator, but it's not bad. That's not all clogged up or anything. Now the discoloration that you can see in there, you can definitely tell which is the inlet side and which is the outlet side. Just like in a regular radiator in a car, the side that's the inlet will have more buildup than the side that's the outlet, because the outlet is going to take any debris with it to the next component. But yeah, these are nice and open. They don't look like it's a dual row. So there's 2 rows. They're pretty big too, per side. They don't look all clogged up or anything though. And the discoloration you're gonna see in there, like the silver and the blue and, not blue, but like a greenish. Remember, they flux. They put all kinds of flux on the inside and then they superheat it so the flux melts and flows into the rows to weld the end tanks and stuff on. So that's how they're assembled. That discoloration just happens. It's part of the natural process of that. So I would actually, quite honestly, say this is
and fell out of it. I shook it and like hair was like, I'm gonna put it down. That would be reusable. You could absolutely clean this. Get some nice hot water, vinegar in there, get it agitated real good, just keep flushing, keep flushing, keep flushing. And I would say that is a perfectly reusable radiator, to be honest. The bottom probably would look worse than the top because this is where the sediment and stuff could land. Let's get the CPU block off of here. I am very curious. Hey! Oh, the old, at least I did it on the table and not the board. It AMD'd.
That's so funny.
I was wiggling it too. You saw me trying to break it loose.
Yep.
Anyone that's ever, God damn it! Anyone that's ever built an AMD rig knows exactly what just happened here. So now what we do is we gently, oh my God.
That's thermal concrete at that point, dude. Oh my God.
I was just saying how, there.
Nice.
Not bad. I'm gonna stick it back in the socket. It's an FX
8320.
Yeah,
It says FD.
FD8320. I have no doubt someone's emailing me already. Can I have that CPU? Can I have it, please? No! I want to get the pump out now because I want to see
That impeller.
I want to see that impeller, but I don't think I'm going to be able to easily. Oh wait, no, I was supposed to open this. I forgot.
Wow.
Look at the top. The brass is fine. Now you know why they use brass like in a lot of home pipes and stuff. I know they talk about copper repipes, so this is why brass is commonly used in plumbing. Because look at that, held up really well. That's an interesting float plate design though. It's got like a weave in it. It's like wee.
That's weird.
But there are micro fins down in here. Look at that was a lot of restricted fins right there. It was probably only getting cooled in the very center right there.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay, so that's what the inside of the CPU block looks like. These copper screws are actually pretty awesome to look at, not gonna lie. The top, which is metal, as you can hear, actually fared very well. But that's just like it's like a plated brass, but not in the middle. I'm wondering why it discolored. Like it reminds me of like a titanium exhaust, how it turned like a blue purpley.
Yeah. I mean,
Like it didn't get that hot, did it?
FX, who knows?
Guess it could have happened.
CPU temperature 280 degrees Celsius.
But she keeps on purring.
Yep.
All right, let's get that other radiator out of here. Oh, that's the last component of it right there. Okay, and it all's gonna come out in a single piece.
Here we go. Well, one big brick.
Yeah, I just have to undo the fans and shit for it right here. Fucking zip ties. We were good till this point. Oh, RPM wire. I was like, why are we turning the motherboard? RPM wire. It's that. And this guy. Jesus, this is the world's longest pump cable. But yeah, that was my little, I called it my tower of cooling. Did I predict or did I just show what they should do?
Yeah.
And then they just did it. Look, legacy, I believe in legacy big time. And there's an important quote. Legacy is not what you're going to do, it's what you've already done. I have had more than one water cooling brand tell me I influenced a lot of design and change in the water cooling industry. I'm just cutting these wires. And I take a lot of pride in that. Ew. I have as much pride about that as this fan is covered in shit. So I just am happy that I am able to say that I at least in some freaking way impacted an industry for what I think is the better in terms of design. I mean, wouldn't you be happy to say, hey, things that I was doing got simplified and turned into cooler, they turned into things that I know it probably doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but I'm happy I can look back and say I did that. You can see just how much of your radiator doesn't get airflow. Obviously where the hubs are. That's why sometimes spacers space out the fan and they have more of a cushion of air can help with the efficiency quite a bit. If you want to know how long it's been since designs have changed, they're the exact same pump that's in my system now in Skunkers. Perfect condition.
Wow.
Except whatever that little bit of gunk is right there on the side blade. It's like brown. I don't know what that is. But the ceramic bearing is fully intact. There's no slight rust. Remember how one time I had like a little bit of rust in there? We're like, how? It's stainless steel. This is short of whatever health the electronics and the motor brushes are, or however this motor works, completely intact. And that's the thing, is they still come with the freaking Molex. Do you recall the video I just did where I talked about why you shouldn't run your pumps at 100%? What's it set to? 2 out of 5. I bet you this is a fully healthy pump that could go for much longer. So I'm gonna mark this one just so I can keep track of which one it is and potentially use it again to see how things go. Speaking of how things went, I'm not surprised at all at what I'm seeing, specifically in the GPU blocks. Also, since those were gonna be the highest things generating heat in this loop, I didn't even need to open this one up. I mean, we can see in there. Yeah, I'm not the least bit surprised how any of this went. If we look inside the tubing, oh dear Lord. It looks like the inside of a sewer pipe, like the shit line sewer pipes. If I remember correctly, this is one of the ones that went from like CPU to GPU or something like that. This would have needed a retubing a long time ago, but I'm really surprised at how well this stuff held up. Let me demonstrate something for you here real quick. Like acrylic can clean up. Like you could actually repolish this. As long as there's no micro cracks in it, it's completely reusable. So you just wiping it a little bit, it's already starting to come clean. So you could reuse this reservoir if you wanted to. Okay, so these are interesting because fluid was never directly touching these, just like the condensation of the fluid. And they're right next to each other, yet they look completely different than each other. And they're made of the same exact material. So that's interesting. But you know how like you can see like the condensation bubbles, like when you put your system under load, and you might notice some like bubbles at the top because there's like a temperature differential. So the only thing that's touched those fittings is those bubbles that would condensate to the colder surface, or I guess, yeah, colder surface at that point in the inside. And that's how these look over there. But it's just funny how the inside of this one is completely silver. The outside was like a coppery color initially before it turned that greenish color. So this was fun. This was a fun exploratory video. Now I have a big ass mess I gotta clean up. The most reusable thing, the pump, followed by potentially the radiators with some really deep cleaning. The blocks are toast. The 680 is so freaking old, you're never gonna find another block for it. So at this point, to reuse those cards, we would have to find like an old school generic universal air cooler to stick on there. Anyway, there we go. Gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching today's video. This is the first time I've ever gotten a chance to really deep dive into something that I built, geez, almost a whole kid ago. Like my kid just turned 16. This build is 12 years old. I guess she was 4 when I built this. That really dates it. In fact, you guys saw the intro of this video. I may have gotten skinnier, but I also got a hell of a lot more gray, and that's what YouTube does to you. All right, gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching. Shit, why did I take this off? I still need gloves. All right, I'm throwing all this away. Bye.